Hello, Coach Dat here, and today we're going to talk about the perpetual check. Another way for a losing player to save a hopeless situation or a position on the chessboard is to engineer the perpetual check. A perpetual check is a situation where one player repeatedly places his enemy king in check and making the king move back and forth, hopelessly trying to get out of these series of checks. When a sequence of moves results in the pieces moving back and forth on the same squares in the exact same position 3 times, this game is called a 3-time repetition of position. Again, the game is called a 3-time repetition of position and is declared a draw. Here's an example of a perpetual check. In this example right here, we have black attacking a very open king right here on b1 with the queen covering these squares right here, and all black needs to do is move the rook down here to create a checkmate. Now white is in a hopeless position because the queen is outnumbered with a rook and both the queen at the same time, and also has really great position to attack white's king right here. But white has a way to get out of this to make it a draw. An example I'll show you right here is the classic queen to g6. As you can see right here, this queen right here is putting this king in check. Unfortunately, black doesn't have any pieces to block this check right here, and the king only has one move to move away because now the king is attacking both of these squares. Now what white can do back is move the queen right here, and of course black has to respond and moving back again. And again, we're going to come back and check the king again. And black, the only way that can salvage this position and get out of the threat and the check is move back. As you can see here, if we do repeat the same squares with the same pieces in the exact same position 3 exact times, then the game can be declared a draw due to the repetition of position on the chessboard. For the next couple of examples, I'm going to invite you to set up your chessboard in front of you and set up the exact same positions I'm going to show up here. If you see these numbers right here on the top right hand side of the corner, you can press the pause button, try to give yourself a little bit more time. This allows you to be able to practice and be able to build up your very own pattern recognition. As we're trying to learn and practice this over and over again, we want to be able to translate these ideas and concepts onto the chessboard whenever you play. Can you find the best move for white? If you said rook to g7, you are correct. These two rooks are now guarding each other, and this king cannot capture this rook right here on g7. Unfortunately, the king has to move somewhere else, and if the king moves over here, the white will be able to then check the king again. And if the king moves over here, white will be able to check the king again. So no matter where the king decides to go, black doesn't have any other pieces to interfere with this check. Even though if they are in a great position for almost a checkmate, white was able to get out of his position by continuously checking black's king up here and creating a 3-point repetition or a perpetual check. In this next practice example, black has great position on white's king right here on b1. As we can see, the queen is one move away from checkmating white's king right here, and white is unable to defend this move. So in one more move, white is about to lose. But can you find white's way of being able to get out of this checkmate? If you said rook takes g6, you are correct. In this position, black has to respond with pawn takes rook on g6, because if not, if black makes any other type of move to try to get out of check right here, white can just come here for a checkmate. In this position, what's going to happen is black takes with a pawn right here on g6, and the white responds with queen takes g6. Now we are in a perpetual check, meaning that black has to move over here, the queen follows him and checks him again, black moves back, checks again, and of course this here is now a perpetual check. Black is unable to run his king away from any other squares to try to get to a safe spot. And since the king is so wide open, we can create this perpetual check all day and of course create a draw in this situation. This practice example is very similar to the last, but we're combining it with a little bit more concepts that we've learned in our previous videos. Can you see the best move for white in this position? If you said queen takes g6, you are correct. You might be wondering, well, what about this pawn capturing this queen right here? Well, unfortunately, this pawn is pinned down because this bishop is attacking this king right here. So unfortunately, this pawn cannot move at all. And Black's only response is to be able to move the king over here to h8. And then White responds with queen takes h6. And then Black keeps going back and forth for the perpetual check. In this practice example, again, we have an issue where Black is only one move away from checkmating White's king. Can you find the best move for White in this position? If you said either queen to h5 or queen to e8, you are correct. What's going to happen here is that White is going to place the king in check right here, and unfortunately this king can only go to one square. Now then, if we go back to h5, the king again is being under attack this direction right here and has to run away right here. And we're creating now a perpetual check where none of the pieces that Black has on the board is able to interfere with this perpetual check. And now we have created a draw on the board. Thank you very much for watching this lesson on perpetual checks. I hope that you are able to find your own perpetual checks in the future in your games. If you're ever in a stuck position, you can try to create this tactic on the board and engineer your way out for that half a point in the chess tournament. Again, best of luck with your chess, and I really appreciate everyone's support who's been giving to this channel over the years. You guys have been a great motivation, and it's always been great to listen to your stories on how you play against you and your families and how you're learning to become better. It only warms my heart as we continue on to learn with each other. If you are interested in finding out what types of inventory that I use in order to teach chess in person, feel free to click the links down below. It really does support the channel, and when you do click the links, feel free to either replace your old chessboard or find a new chess clock. But if there's any other things that you have recommendations for or you want to share with me, feel free to reach out to me. I'll be glad to respond back to you. Thank you very much, and you have a great day.